Hey everyone, it's Dave with Alaskan Homesteading with an update for you on this cool summer day here in south central Alaska. As you can see behind me, everything is very lush and green. We've been having a cool summer, a very late summer in fact. Spring started very late and it's been interesting. We've had kind of a mix of rain and sun, more rain than sun I'd say. But I wanted to give you an update on the garden, the orchard, the greenhouse today. I haven't done any content in a little while. I've been super busy with my actual day job, which is not making YouTube content. So enough of the excuses. Let's go take a look at the garden and see how things are going. Today I'm trying out a new gimbal for my phone just to see how it works. For those of you who haven't been on the channel much or haven't been here in a while, I do have a pretty big garden back here. It's also an orchard. We've got some various fruit trees and so on. But we've been hard at work building up raised rows for the garden, and they have paid off, I'd say. Let me flip around here and take you on a tour of what we have growing. Starting, we'll go right to left for no particular reason. In this first row, we've got a cherry bush tree thing that's been here since we bought the place. And then this is one row of potatoes. They are mystery potatoes. Somebody in the neighborhood had a big paper bag full of seed potatoes out on the side of the road with a sign that said free. They were purple, so I'm guessing they could be Magic Mollies, which are a very popular variety here in south central Alaska, which, for those of you who don't know, it is very popular to grow potatoes here. They grow exceptionally well, and as you can see, these plants are big and pretty healthy looking. We do have some issues with slugs, which you can probably see from all the predation on the leaves here, but these are indeterminate plants and they are growing like crazy, so I'm not too worried about the slugs. In the next row, we have some cabbage that we actually bought these starts at a farm stand over in Wasilla. Again, you can see a lot of that slug damage, all these holes in the leaves, but the heads are actually looking pretty good, so I think we'll get some decent cabbage out of these guys. Oh, there we go. There's one of the little vandals right there. Bye. Toss him out of the garden. Evicted. And we have some cauliflower. These guys, I might need to blanch these. By that I mean pinch the leaves up here and close them off to keep the sun off the flowers. Supposedly you can keep them from bolting if you do that. This one you can start to see the head is separating, which is a sign that it's going to bolt. And there's another slug. Boy, I've got to come out here and just pick these slugs off. You can see them. That little dot there. And there's another one back here. Yeah, I've got to come out here and get rid of them. Do it by hand. Got to get some diatomaceous earth too. But anyway, yeah, so here's our some more cauliflower. This one's looking pretty nice. I'm getting excited about that. Again, this one is starting to bolt. You can see how the flowers are opening up. That one looks really nice. We've got some onions. Again, this row was all stuff that we picked up at the farm stand as starts. For the rest of this, you're going to be seeing plants that we started indoors this winter. So we've got Brussels sprouts, which they're just starting to bud down there at the stalk. A pretty good row of those guys. More potatoes here, and those are a different variety. I think these are actually also those same purple ones that we found. This one is a yellow fin. And then we've got some red cabbage. These are doing really nicely. They formed good tight heads, and we made some delicious rotkohl this evening with some of that. We harvested one of the heads. We've got garlic going. I forget which variety this is in this row, but we have several different varieties, all hardneck garlics. We've been harvesting the scapes and using those in various things. We made some garlic scape pesto. That turned out pretty nice. Got our peas climbing back here. the rabbits did away with the rest of the peas that we had. They came in and nipped off the stalks, so those are gone. The beans haven't done very well. I think it is a little too cool for them. They just are not thriving out here. They do much, much better in the greenhouse. Turning around, this row, which is empty, is where we had a ton of OS Cross cabbage. Those are sort of a giant variety that's pretty common here in Alaska. They can grow to be, 70 or 100 pounds or something like that, more like exhibition style cabbage you'd take to the state fair. We just donated that all to a neighbor because it was too slug infested, and even the worms had moved in. The little red worms in the soil had moved into the heads. So we had taken a few heads apart, cleaned them up, and used them, but we're just not happy with the quality of them, and I think the neighbor's cows will enjoy the cabbage more than we will. This is another row of almost exclusively potatoes, several different varieties. I think we've got some German butterball in here and some other things I can't remember. It's all written down someplace inside in a chart that we keep. And that's one of our apple trees. What do we have here? This one is a Harcourt apple. No fruit this year, but that's okay. It's a relatively new tree, so we'll just monitor that and see how he does. And turning around again, we have another row, all garlic. Just dozens and dozens of cloves of garlic, or heads of garlic, that we should be harvesting. They are starting to turn yellow at the tips. Again, we've been harvesting the scapes, and we should get some good heads of garlic out of that row. The next row is fresh today. We just finished building this row, and we have a bunch of turnips. We had planted these from seed inside, I don't know, a few weeks ago. I don't remember exactly when, but they were obviously itching to get out and get planted. We had taken them out of their tray and put them into solo cups for the second stage of growing, and now they're out here in this wonderful fresh row of composted manure. We have a neighbor that lets us come and pick up all kinds of fresh manure and or composted manure from their horses. And with the help of a neighborhood teenager today, we started laying in another row of pavers so we can walk around more easily out here. It's nice to have smooth, hard surfaces to walk on and to roll little garden carts on. So that was very nice. And we have another apple tree here. This one, oh no, the tag broke off. I've got it written down, but no fruit on this one this year either. This guy, I have been taking off the apples because there's too many and it's really weighing the tree down. This one, I believe, is, yeah, that's a Parkland. And so it is pretty heavy with fruit. I've been starting to work on the pruning plan for these guys. Obviously, it needs some work. I don't know much about fruit trees, but I've been learning from, you guessed it, YouTube videos. So more to come on the fruit trees. We have a mystery apple. Don't know anything about it. It was planted by the previous owners. It was nearly dead and kind of just a stick. So I think we've done a pretty good job rehabilitating it into a tree that might bear some fruit, but I think it needed some rest. So we've given it that rest, we've given it fertilizer, and it looks pretty healthy. So now we're just hoping that we'll start getting some fruit soon. Honeycrisp apple, this one is a little slow to develop. And I hear mixed things about trying to grow honeycrisps here in Alaska. We're in zone like 4A or 4B or something in this little pocket here outside of, just outside Palmer. This is the other honeycrisp, because really to grow honeycrisps, apparently you really need pollination from another honeycrisp. So we have that. This tree is a little more mature, but again, no fruit yet. This is a plum, a Mount Royal plum, if I recall correctly. Oh no, sorry, this is the Compass cherry plum. We do not have a Mount Royal plum. The Mount Royal plum is the one that died this winter. And what do we have here? Which apple tree is this? Gloria. So, Gloria apple tree. That's got a modest amount of small fruit we'll see how that goes. Again, I've taken a lot of fruit off of these younger trees, trying to help them encourage the sort of development of the root system and the foliage. But I can't help myself. I have to leave some fruit on. I want to get a few apples. And then these two are higher 12. They're another breed of apple that supposedly does quite well here in Alaska. This one is just going bonkers with the fruit. I've cut off a ton of fruit already, and I'll probably thin it out even more. Some of these are pretty small, and the advice I've read is, you know, cut off the smallest ones. They're never really going to develop into a large apple anyway, and if you cut off the small ones, then the tree will send more of its energy into the larger fruit, and you'll get better quality fruit even if it's not as much of it. In this last row over here against the fence, we have josta berries and hascups, sometimes also called honeyberries. That's these first three plants. And then we've got some hinamaki and Pixwell gooseberries, and then some black currants. So we've been working on quite a bit here in the garden. The black currants did develop a little bit of fruit, but they are not mature yet, so we'll see. There's not much on here to speak of, but these only got planted last year, so I don't have high expectations from these new plantings. In the front row of the garden, which you will see is kind of a mess, a little overgrown, we have a bunch of wild iris that puts up these beautiful purple flowers in the spring and early summer. Those have already gone to seed at this point. We have some fireweed, which is lovely. Ooh, the bees love it too. Hello. Hello, Mr. Bee. Oh, bye-bye. We'll try and do something with the flowers. We've been encouraging the fireweed to grow here to the extent you really need to encourage it. It's fairly hardy stuff. There's some more fireweed, more iris, some lilies that like to pop up here and there. We've been encouraging them to propagate. I didn't really do too much with them. We did have some strawberry plants in here, but they did not fare well, so farewell to them. And more wild iris. There's a couple of strawberry plants up here that are just hanging on by a thread. There's one fruit. Really beautiful, beautiful irises. These turned out nice. Some columbine, more wild iris. So that's pretty much the garden tour. We manage this along with my full-time day job and keeping up all the other stuff on the property, and it is quite a bit of work. It's probably got more than I bargained for, but you know, it's interesting. We're enjoying some of the fruits of our labor, so to speak. We've had some really nice salads, and hopefully we'll get some good fruit out of here with the apple trees, and I'm really looking forward to the potatoes. Let's head over to the other garden and we'll see what's in there. It is super important to have a high fence around your gardens here in Alaska because the moose absolutely love fresh vegetables, and I do not grow my vegetables for the moose. So now we are over in the berry patch. We have two main crops over here. Well, we have two crops over here, not main, but there's only two things we grow in this one. And that is the raspberries that you see behind me, and there's a bunch of strawberries over here. At least they're strawberry plants. We didn't do well on strawberries this year. They just really didn't develop much fruit, and what they did develop, I think, mostly got taken by the voles and the robins. So we put out some countermeasures for that. We've got little red stones painted in here to make the robins, you know, unhappy when they come in and peck at those thinking it's a strawberry. But that combined with the weird weather, I think, you know, the plants look healthy, but there's just not a lot of flowers. I'll give you a closer look. So here are these wonderful strawberry plants. They are fresh, brand new plants that we developed off of runners from some other plants we had last year. Planted them in the fall, and you know, I wasn't even sure if they would overwinter, but they certainly did. I mean, they have put up a ton of growth. So as far as being vigorous, I mean, the leaves look great. They're nice and sturdy. They're tall. They're standing right up. But we just didn't get a lot of flowering. And I did come in with a high phosphorus fertilizer. We did trim off a lot of runners. There's been a lot of new runner development, which we do need to come through and clip out, I think, to make sure the plants put their energy elsewhere. But like I said, we've got these little red rocks kind of tucked in. My partner painted all those to help us try to convince the robins they don't want to hang out here. But I don't know. Maybe some of you have some suggestions in the comments if you've been successful with strawberries, because we really haven't. Can't find any. Oh, there we go. There's some flowers, and the fruit is gone. And some of that fruit just didn't really develop at all. It's just tiny little green nubs. The raspberry patch is an entirely different story, however. This is thriving. We really lucked out. When we bought this property, the previous owners had developed this raspberry patch, and boy, did they just do a bang-up job. There's 3 rows. I guess that's, I don't know, 40 feet long each row. So there's a ton of plants in here. They shoot up really nice, strong canes every year. I do fertilize them, so that I'm sure is, you know, a contributing factor. But we're finally starting to get fruit maturing. This guy is ready. You know, if you can just pull ever so lightly and it comes off, that fruit is ready to eat. It's a little small and not the best developed, but I'll eat it anyway. So yeah, we can see there's plenty of fruit in here. Some of it's still just not quite ripe yet, so we're waiting. But over the next couple of weeks, we'll be harvesting quite a bit of raspberries, I think, because these are big plants and healthy plants with lots of fruit. And now the greenhouse, which is really just doing fantastic. I'll just take you on a quick circle around and we'll touch on each plant. We've got celery here, some bok choy that's towards the end. It's been bolting, so it's almost done. Got some provider bush beans. Those made some good beans. The turnips that we grew indoors, which they're not thrilled with the size of this container. It's not really deep enough to grow turnips in. Swiss chard, that's a really beautiful plant, quite tasty. We've been using a ton of that in salads. Turning around, we have cucumbers galore. A lot of these are succession planted. We started some just maybe a month ago, and they've been taking off, developing lots and lots of fruit. So hopefully that will continue for a bit. You can tell some of the older plants, you know, they're a little more yellowed and browning and clearly tired. So they're near the end. The tomatoes, they are way too crowded. There's a lot to learn here from my mistakes, and in this case, the overcrowding on the tomatoes has really not helped us. Some of these plants are really nice. They're quite healthy. The fruit is wonderful. Others, you know, I'm not sure if it's overwatering, underwatering, over-fertilizing, under-fertilizing. There's a lot I have yet to learn, but we really did definitely overcrowd them, and I think we're paying for that. We have gotten a good amount of fruit off of them, and there's, you know, plenty that's ripening here in beginning of August down here in Alaska, and that's pretty good. You know, it's I'm happy with the amount of fresh ripe tomatoes we are getting, but I know we could do better. I know we can get more, and I think one key to that is going to be cutting the density of these plantings by about half. In the center, We have an absolutely irresponsible amount of peppers. I have cayenne, some bell peppers. I forget which. I have two varieties of bell peppers. Unfortunately, we kind of messed up on the labeling when we repotted these, so I don't know which ones are the new Ace hybrid and which ones are the California Wonder. But they're nice green peppers. We've had them roasted or fresh in salads. They're great. We've got plenty of jalapenos. These have no heat whatsoever in them yet. I've been sampling ones now and again just to see how they're developing, but it's been so cool here that they're just having a hard time. We've got some pretty nice banana peppers. They are also a little slow to mature. There's some that have come to a nice yellow, but they're, you know, they're a little bit behind. Yeah, more of the banana peppers, more jalapenos. And on the peppers, we are 2 rows deep, just like on the tomatoes, which is probably a little bit too much. It's crowded, so I think we would do better if we spaced these out more. Unfortunately, my gimbal battery just died in the middle of filming here, so you'll have to put up with the slightly less smooth handheld footage from here on out. We have pumpkins back here, which are ripening already, which is awesome. Super excited about that. We've got a handful of decent looking ones back here. I've got some, some that just haven't gotten pollinated. One of the things we have to figure out better for next year is how to invite more pollinators into the greenhouse. There's really not a lot of entrances, so it's tough for them to get in and do their job. We have some kale, which you can see has gotten pretty tall. We've been harvesting off of this for salads for months now, and it's kind of coming to the end, but it's been great. These are some of the banana peppers I mentioned that are getting mature. Still not much in the way of heat, but they're starting to look good, so I'm happy about their progression. These plants are absolutely vigorous over here. You can see there's lots and lots of fruit developing, so we'll end up hopefully with enough that we can pickle some of it. I mentioned some of these bell peppers. Ignore that mark. I have to rinse that off. That's some fertilizer, some organic fertilizer that spilled on there. Yep. More banana peppers, more cayennes. I'm excited about these, but again, these should be red. They are not mature yet. They have no heat at this time, so we'll have to do an update on them when they finally do get heat. More of these jalapenos. And here, again, more banana peppers, some more of these guys. I think this one was a California Wonder. It was making, once these matured, it was turning nice and red. And, yeah, lots of peppers. Great in salads. And, yeah, these are some of the older cucumber plants. They're just getting towards the end of their life, but they're still pumping out fruit, so we'll keep feeding them. I just let all the vining plants kind of take over and go over the top. All right, folks, well, that's all the time I have to make this video today. I hope that you all enjoyed this garden video as much as I enjoyed taking a break and giving everybody another little bit of a window into what we're up to here. I'm pretty happy with the garden progress, and can't wait to show you more once we have some more harvests to share. So thanks so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content that I'm making, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more of it, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.